Waistfield. Yes, tomorrow. Sounds like a contradiction. We're off to build a canoe.
After a short introduction of ourselves to ourselves, our instructor Jono took us to meet our boats, or at least the forms on which we would build the bones.
Zip ties and clamps were to become our ever-present companions after our swift introduction on day one.
Unfortunately, I did not pull out the GoPro until we had already put the stringers into position. Those are those thin strips of wood running lengthwise along the boat. The stringers are made of clear pine. The curved pieces perpendicular to them are called ribs and are made of northern yellow cedar. Both woods are very light. Here you see us bending the ribs into position after being steamed for only 4 minutes. We hold them in place temporarily with clamps and zip ties.
We end day one by beginning to lash the connection points. All the connection points. More lashing.
Don't lash out.
I won't lash out. The lashing material is referred to as synthetic sinew and is a waxy nylon-like string. We begin each lash by putting the middle of our length behind the rib, then pull each side in front of the stringer, tuck back behind the rib and cross. Then back in front of the stringer, back behind the rib, and cross again. This time, each side comes up to tie an overhand knot before running along each side between the stringer and the rib. Each lash is finished with 2 overhand knots and a nice tight cinching. Phew, did you get all that?
Straight ribs. Really starting to take shape. This next step was challenging and involved hand cutting the stringer ends to meet the stem knee. The angles were steep and we used a Japanese pole saw in the dozuki style. It took some attention and care to make the cuts, but we made it through pretty well with some teamwork. After cutting each set of stringers, we drilled a hole through them and sutured them to the stem knee. It helped here to have someone with some experience on my team. Thanks, Dad.
Notice the needle, notice the suture. We're suturing on a limb. Here we are cutting and rounding the edges of the half ribs before clamping them into place and lashing them. These half ribs add more support to the bottom of the boat where we will be sitting and standing.
After the glue had dried and we removed the clamps, we used the dozuki saw to cut the excess rib that extends past the gunnel.
Then it was time to do some sanding. We smoothed out the back rest and thwart as well as the points of connection on the stem knees.
And then one of the most satisfying steps. We removed our frame from the form. Now we had just a couple of pieces of rope keeping the middle from bulging, until we could get the thwart and back seats bolted into place.
With some finesse, we cut and glued the end wales into place and then sanded the connections after cutting them with the Dosuki saw. Who knew? Gonna measure once, cut twice, and hope it's not too short. I love this.
Japanese saw.
It's Japanese.
Yep.
I love it.
What are we doing today?
We are doing polyurethane, and then we're doing polyurethane, and then we're doing polyurethane. Is that understandable? One more coat on each side. So
For the minimum.
an hour and a half. That's minimum.
Yeah,
But Jonathan
but-
wants to do 2 more coats.
After deciding placement and cutting the backrest and thwart to size, we bolt them into place and remove the 2 ropes holding the shape of the frame. What are we doing now? We're done polying. No more poly.
Polying, we're putting in the backrests and the thwart. The thwart.
Yes, look at that.
The thwart.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for, and the part people are most curious about. The skin we are stretching over our frame is a ballistic nylon. We drape it over the whole boat, then use a thick needle and nylon string to create big stitches down the full length, which are then pulled in order to tighten the fabric. As it gets to be too difficult to pull the string, we flip the boat and thoroughly soak it with water, allowing the fabric to stretch even further. Once we have pulled the string and stretched the material as tight as we possibly can, it's time to flip the boat back over and staple the skin to the frame. We go back over the staples with a hammer in order to ensure that they are fully sunk into the gunwale. We fold, staple, and cut the fabric at each end of the boat to accommodate the curves. More poly, 7 coats to be exact, but it went quickly.
Well, I'm just sighting it to see where I may have missed. You can get that. You can get the reflection. You can see. You see where you stopped.
Yeah. After finishing the poly, we attached the rub rails and some beautiful brass stem bands. After a few quick repairs and finishing touches, our skin-on-frame canoe project is complete.
Jonathan, Summerville. You're in his blind spot. Look at this. And John Summerville.
Handshake. I like the handshake.
Only thing left to do is go test them out.
These canoes are not only gorgeous and functional, but also a sure way to get strangers to talk to you within seconds of seeing them.